it's always at individual line level.
Right.
Right? You can display a horizontal plan for the line that you're looking at, right? So anytime when you want to do it for a larger group or for a larger, when you want to analyze and then try to get everything together,
Right.
you have to come to queries, right? If you don't want to, if you want to just focus on one item and then you want to just dig deep into it, you can always do it from Workbench. Okay. So everything that happens from the Workbench is always individual, just one line or one item or one organization. When you want to combine, you have to come to queries, right? So queries, you got public queries and personal queries. Personal is something that you can create, you only run it for yourself.
Okay.
Public is something that whatever you create, someone else can also use it.
Okay.
Do you want me doing this or no?
Yeah.
Okay, then I'm gonna have to get a little closer then.
All right.
So what I did is, I created one such query like this
In personal, right?
in personal queries under item. So there are again different categories here. One is for item, other one is for resource, exception, suppliers, and orders. Okay. For you guys, it's going to be item.
Yep.
And supplier for Maria,
Yep.
because you may want to look at the all suppliers, everything together. Then you may want to use supplier query and then look at display everything that you're planning for all the suppliers or some specific suppliers.
Right.
Okay. Order is something that you're going to look at from Planner's Workbench, whatever you want to do it. So these are the queries that you may want to write and use it. Okay? So the way you do it is, for example, item. So the question here we said is, I want to look at all my current planned orders and everything else for in a horizontal plan for all the items. So I displayed all the items. How I do it, I kind of write a query here. Click on the item and say right click, say create query.
Okay.
Okay. So you can name whatever you want to name it. You can say it and then put a criteria here. All right.
All right. Now with the criteria, I noticed you just typed stuff in.
Correct.
Now, is that whatever you typed in? Is that specific, or how did it know what to pull up?
Right. So for example, what I did here is I said I'm going to create another query. Let's say test item query, right?
Yep.
So this is for item query. So what I'm going to do is I say what is the criteria? I'm looking at items, let's say planned by Anne Marie. So the planner code has to be Anne Marie, right? So then I say criteria is planner equals to, and then say Anne Marie. So that's the first criteria is this, all right? Then the second thing should be, now first I said only USC, but then I'm looking at USC and MIL, right? Then org should be. Now, if it's equals to, it takes one, but I need more than one. Anywhere in the criteria, if you have more than one, you can use what is called as among. Among. So it basically gives you add more than one value into the criteria. So which is basically organization among. When you click here, so I can add the values here. That is USC, MIL. If I want, I can add as many as. Same thing with everywhere else. In case if you want to do it for two planners, planner among Maria and Anne Marie, and then item among. There's a lot of all these criteria are listed here. Okay. So you can play around with the criteria based on what you're looking at. It is like it is equals to, or it's not equal to, or is less than. When you're looking at the dates, right? You show me beyond or greater than this date or less than these dates.
Right.
At most, at least, between these dates, outside of this, or these are all the options you have, which you can use to put the criteria.
Okay.
Once you put the criteria, so what I did is I said planner being Anne Marie, organization being this, and I said next one I wanted to list all the items, right? Items starting with W. Okay, because I know that's my VIP items, right?
Okay, now click inside this box.
Yeah.
It has a drop down. All right, so here, these
are the criteria.
So
that you
even
have.
though, because you know what to put in there, where it'll automatically pick it up. That's how.
That's
otherwise,
how
I can drop.
You
in
could
there
drop
and I
that.
can pick. Okay,
I knew because this was there, so I just. Otherwise, in case something that there, in case if you want to look at something.
If I didn't know what it was, I could do that. Okay,
correct.
great.
You can actually do that and then pick up accordingly, right?
Great. Okay.
So item starts with W, right?
Yep.
So then you can also put in case if you want something else apart from that. So for now, I would just leave it as it is.
Yep.
And then say save it. So this is saved now, right? So a query is saved, which means you don't have to write this query every time. Okay?
Yep.
So all that you have to do next time is to, when you come back here, so you got your query ready. So you
now, how do I delete? Let's say if one, I didn't like that one.
You didn't like it, so just kind of go to the right-click the query and then say delete query.
Okay, cool.
It's gone. So,
All right, good.
And then when you.
Because now, so then that's just like a regular drop-down menu of folders that you have, and you can manage them the same way you would on Word or Windows or whatever. Okay,
correct.
Good.
So this is a query that you have, and then you say execute the query.
Yep.
All right. So when you say execute the query, you will have to select the plan name because you may want to run the query for what plan, which plan, right?
Right.
You will see two plans here because I got two plans, one
Two.
test, other one is prod, right?
Okay.
So I'm running this for prod. So I say prod, say okay. So it's going to display all my web items,
Okay,
right?
great.
Now, how do I select, how do I make it display, how do I make it display horizontal plan? I go to edit, select all.
Okay.
So the hint or the trick here is whatever gets displayed as a part of your query, you can display it in horizontal plan.
Okay.
And the simple approach is to go select, do a edit, select all, and then either click this, which is a horizontal plan icon here, or you can do a right click and then show it.
Okay.
So when you do this, it's going to pull out all your horizontal plan.
Okay.
You don't have to use that little icon if you don't want to.
You
If you don't want, you can just right click also do it. I mean,
Now, once we get in there, then I have some more questions, because I
Yeah.
want to see, how do I know how to change now the options of
correct.
everything here, yeah?
Right,
So
so-
I know that. But
Right.
now, I don't want to see everything. I want to see by week is what I want to see.
Right. So now the next thing is like, first probably I'll just collapse everything. I just click this, everything gets collapsed.
Okay.
All right. So then I can now expand the way I want it. So I want to first show only in periods.
Okay.
So what I did is I collapsed everything.
Yep.
Then I said expand it by one by one. So when I do that, right, it does it at a highest bucket level. You have week, days, let's say days, week, and period. It starts from the highest bucket, which is periods.
Periods. Okay.
If you want to go down and below, then go to the periods and then display weeks in it.
Okay.
So that's what I did. I just displayed everything in periods now.
periods, okay.
So that's why you see everything in month now.
Okay.
For some month, let's say for example, in this month, you want to display in weeks, right?
Yep.
I say, I do this way, okay? I come here, click on that weekly bucket, whatever period
era,
bucket,
yeah.
and then click on it like this.
Okay.
I get to weeks. So it's going to show me in that period weekly buckets, that is 4 weeks in that period. So rest all is in monthly bucket. It distributes that period with the weekly breakup of that.
Then if I want, I could click in here and go to days.
Days, that's correct. You're already in the bucket level. So which means, so planning, the way we have defined the planning.
Right.
The next, I think it's 180 days is in days.
Yep.
Then after that, it's about 6 or 7 weeks, and then rest is in periods.
Okay.
Either we can change everything to days, so that you have at any given point of time, just break it down. It doesn't make sense, but for me, it also doesn't make, it's not going to make so much of difference because volume is so less. So we generally don't want to do to that level of granularity only when we don't intend to go to that level of planning. But if you want, you can just change the buckets.
Right.
Maria, I'll just show it to you. In case we want the plan to display to that details, all that you have to do is, and the plan options here, aggregation here, this is what we've currently defined, right? The first 6 months, you're going to see it in days, then you're going to see it in weeks, and then you're going to see it in periods, right?
Okay.
Period
So-
is a month?
Period is a month,
Okay.
yes. So what I mean by that is, when you come to this bucket, after 6 months, when you try to drill down and go down to the days level, it's not going to tell you, because at this point, it is planning at weekly level.
Right. Now, how did you get to this screen?
I'll talk to Gaurav now and get this confirmed.
Which one?
How did you get to this screen?
Yeah, this is a plan definition. So this is your plan definition, which
Right.
is in the...
Yeah, but how did you
Yeah,
get
so-
there? Because I saw you go.
Yeah, so what I did is, so this is your plan names are here.
Yep.
So this is the plan names. So you got all your plan
Ah,
definition here.
okay.
So I click on this one and then say plan options. So this is my definition of the plan, which is what I would actually say, this is what I would like plan to do it.
To do, right.
All right? So I can set up everything here in terms of what should be, what items I'm running for, et cetera, right?
But a lot of this is set up in the item masters, and we can't change it, right?
No, none of it is actually an item master. This is all the plan setups, the way we want. For example, if you see you want to run it for all items, or you want to run it for a few items, you want to run it with what assignment set. So these are all advanced. If you want, for example, I can create another assignment set where I can change my sourcing rules entirely, and then trying to see what happens if I run a plan with a different set of sourcing rules altogether, not disturbing your production run, but you want to look at for the next year plan, right? As a planner, what you do on a day-to-day basis is, for example, let's say middle of the year you start looking at what I should be doing next year.
Right.
So as a part of that activity, you may want to see what it might impact you, or for example, you may want to change some suppliers, you want to do something, then you can actually create a different assignment set altogether, which has got different sourcing rules altogether, run a plan with that, right? Then you may get a different recommendations and altogether different behavior, and then try to compare two plans and see how it's behaving, is it good or bad? It's mostly,
That's when you copy the plan and.
you do all
and
that
you
stuff.
do
But
that.
anyway, I don't think
Then you
you
delete them, because if
you
people
don't.
go in there, you can't release orders off them or anything.
Right.
You don't want to do it. I mean, the ground rule should be that anything coming out of a planning should always be from a production plan. Right? All the planners who are using the plan should not do anything which is not production. So that's how it should be.
Right, right.
So
So now, just to confirm, the one that you selected, the contest was the test that the individual query that you created under the personal queries.
yep.
So I make any changes to this, it's not going to impact anything else that anybody sees. It's just going to impact this one item or this one query that I created.
Correct. So I did the query under personal, which means it's going to be visible to you only under
Only.
your login.
Right.
So no one else can see that query in the first place.
Right.
So only queries that people created as a public query. So you may want to create something which is common to everybody. Everybody can use it. So if you don't want to use it, you don't want someone to look at it, or if someone don't want to get messed up with it, you just create a personal queries and use it for yourself.
Right.
So that should take care of that part. And any query, the query that you create is just a query. It's a criteria. A criteria can be applied on any plan that you're going to have. You have 2 plans or 3 plans, you can run the same criteria on any plan. Doesn't matter at all.
Okay.
So I'm just showing you in terms of the horizon, in case if you want to get into more granularity, this is where you can change.
That's where you can change it.
Change to make the plan go down to,
No.
that level of
Go to the
detail.
constraints.
So this is an unconstrained based planning, right?
Right.
So in case, this is going forward, once you kind of, are familiar or are going to be comfortable with it, you can create another copy plan, same plan, and then enable the constraints and start looking at it, how it looks.
Right.
And what you have to do is just have to say enable constraints, and then, this is a due date constraints, and then you let everything follow on its own. So that's what it's going to be. Okay, so you don't want to go there, but in case if you are looking at line 1, line 2 capacities and everything, then you are looking at capacity constraints of those lines, and then you're looking at level loading and things like that. Then
Which is what I want to get to.
you want to get to. So the system is already set up in that sense, so you don't have to do anything else at the moment. You only have to enable this, and then you're good to go.
Okay.
And I'll also enable this decision rules, which
Right.
currently is disabled. So this decision rules, when I enable it, then it's going to do an alternate, substitute, and everything else is going to come up into
So
picture.
you want to start running kite stop?
Yeah, oh yeah.